Thanks for locking in to part 2 of a much needed conversation. Enjoy. All right, so real quick, white fragility. I'm going to give y'all the definition of the word fragility. And we're going to dive in.
Okay.
So fragility is a noun, and it's the quality of being easily broken or damaged. So when it comes to white fragility, is that a thing? Why or why not?
It is definitely a thing. I mean, we see it all the time. White people never want to discuss racism. It's like the conversation sort of shuts down. And it's sort of, they don't want to self-reflect. It's always this thing, well, it wasn't me, it wasn't my ancestors, but they don't want to own it. And it's, again, coming back to white privilege, whiteness, right? So you don't want to dismantle something that's protecting you. So if you don't talk about it, you're not impacting that. It's like they don't want to take a look in the mirror and see the role that they play in this. It's hard to own their part in it. And it's just it's a hard conversation for them to have. Really.
So most of the time they avoid it.
Absolutely. Or try to gloss over it with, again, just treating everybody with kindness and respect. Of the colorblind theory, I don't see color.
It causes more harm.
Yeah. But I mean, I think the white fragility, we know it goes deeper than that. Yes, of course, that is their, that's the peak of it, is the racism piece. Like, hands off, they ain't got nothing to do with me. I don't even want to talk about it. This is too hard. Anyway.
Yeah, it's gonna
and then they cry.
But anyway, but you see white fragility show up in other ways too. Just even being intimidated. Not that we're doing anything, just our mere presence in the room can be intimidating to some white people. And they don't know how to handle that. We can show up in the fullness of who we are, in all our authenticity. And for someone to look at that and be like, that is something I don't have. That is something that, I don't have that confidence. I'm not able to move in that way, or to speak in that way, or command attention in that way, or to get respect in that way. So it crushes them. And then in turn, what they do is lash out and try to bring you down to size, which is really how they're feeling. But all of that is the white fragility of it all. So it doesn't have to be these outspoken, like I'm not racist. I don't agree with that. But, you see it in other subtle ways, and it shows up in those microaggressions, those micro invalidations, all the micros, right? But all of that is white fragility. And if we're not careful, if we don't know any better, we excuse it by trying to pacify them, by trying to appease them. We dim our light a little bit. We step back. We minimize ourselves a little bit. We dumb ourselves down a little bit because someone isn't feeling good about themselves.
And comforting them with their tears. And back to what Ebony said, it's always, it wasn't my intention. It wasn't my intention. Like, I didn't mean it that way, or, or even speaking up for us, you know what I mean? Like, it's like such a difficult conversation because, like you said, we sort of try to pacify them without even knowing it. So many times, like when this does happen, we kind of want to shut down and be quiet, and
but we don't have that luxury.
Yeah, but I mean, no, when they're crying, because it's almost like we're like. And you have to stop and think like, well, what did I do? What did, and you start to question yourself if you don't know that this is their response to. And so many times,
and they know exactly what they're doing when they do it.
Yes.
Again, which is why white women are more dangerous.
Yep.
So and then they apologize. Wait a minute, because then they always apologize. I'm so sorry for my tears. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And the tears just keep flowing. It's I know I shouldn't be crying, but. And then the tears keep flowing. It's like,
but you know what, though? Okay, to that point about the tears. If you're holding someone accountable, it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. So people may cry. But if they really cared about pushing through the discomfort, They will cry and still get through it
Yep.
and still have the
But
conversation.
Yep.
instead of keep apologizing for the tears,
Yes.
the conversation stops.
For the
That's what I'm
conversation
saying,
stop.
right?
You're
The
right, yes.
That's
conversation,
right. So
the,
that's
yeah,
right.
the
You're
conversation then
uncomfortable.
becomes about the tears. So that's the thing, and
Yep.
and their emotions and how they feel. It's no
Mhm.
longer the conversation. It's I'm shutting this conversation down
Yes.
You know who
because I do
captured
feel
that
uncomfortable.
like beautifully? Did you guys see the movie You People?
Yes.
Kenya
I feel like I
Barris?
saw that.
series.
It's Lauren London
Yeah.
and the mom. That's like when you're
Mhm.
saying it, I'm like literally picturing when because everything the mom was doing so much to just try to figure out what it is to be black, you know, the hair. Did you use it?
Yes.
And then when Lauren London called her out on it, that's the first thing she
Yes.
did. She started to cry and apologizing for the tears, and but she held firm, like no, you know, and that's what we need to do more instead of what you just said, because that is I know I am guilty of that. Not that I've ever had a white woman in tears, but I mean it's just making them comfortable.
Right. But
You
it's such a
know.
tricky situation because you said like, and us hold firm, right? So depending on the setting you're in,
Yep.
because us holding firm,
Yep.
then we're the angry black woman. We're
That's
pushing
it.
them too far.
Yep.
So
That's
then
and
it.
it could cost us our
Exactly.
jobs. It could cost us other things.
That's
it can,
right.
So it's
So-
like
That's
this
right.
delicate
Opportunities.
balance.
Mm-hmm.
So when we do that, is that a form of code switching?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I'd say so. Yes.
It is.
Yes.
And it's really uncomfortable because you feel it.
Yeah.
As a black woman, you know, I'm sure, man, like you feel it in the moment. And sometimes I'm even questioning myself, like, what are you doing? You know, like you're so mad at yourself and you don't even understand why you're doing it. Like you care too much about their feelings.
Yep.
We care too much about their feelings. And I hate that I've been in that situation before, but I have. You know, just or like you know, you said it perfectly. We kind of dim our light so that they can shine when they always get to shine.
Yep.
You know, it's crazy the world we live in. It
But
is.
in being intentional again, I think we have to be intentional about who we are, what we
That's
want, what we're
right.
going to
We
stand
do. We got to
for.
do better.
You know, I've gotten to the point now where if I'm talking to somebody and it's just I can't that angry black woman persona, you know, like when I know that's what's going to happen, sometimes I'm just like, okay, let me shut my camera off so you can't see the angry face that goes along with the tone that's about to come out.
Yep.
Like I'm not going to not talk, but I can't, I'm to the point now that I can't really hold it back and shut it down to pacify your tears.
Yeah.
Because it's gone on for too long. And it's like at a certain point, we can't keep dimming our light.
Yes.
And if we're dimming our light, what are we teaching our kids in the next generation?
That's right.
You know, and how do we dismantle systems and this type of thing if we're going to continue to dim our light? We can't.
You're right.
But I'm still working on my voice. But
When take your kid to work day happens, can I just come with y'all? Because I'm really interested to like experience these scenarios that you know that both of you share from time to time. Like, please, I would just love to do that.
not real. It's very real at work, but also at school. I'll tell you. So I don't know what this giga something. It
Is
was
this another
something.
TikTok scenario?
Yeah, it was something giga something. I don't know what it was. I can't remember. Right. So my daughter, who goes to a predominantly white school, comes home and says, "Mom, today I got called the N-word." And I said, "What?" Well, I don't have anything. Did the teacher know? Well, yeah, I talked to her. Well, I surely don't have a message from her
That
or from the
part.
principal or anything, right? So I'm reaching out to the teacher and I asked my daughter in this scenario what happened. She said, "Well, he said he wanted to say giga. What I can't remember what the internet thing was, something, but he made a mistake and called me the N-word. So replaced the G with an N." And I'm like,
Come on.
Like that.
Come
that's
on.
not a mistake.
You use the word.
Right. So that's a kid. So I reach out to the teacher and she's like, "Well, you know, he said that he made a mistake." Well, first of all, you didn't contact me and say anything.
Regardless, that's
So
right.
secondly, I need to speak with the principal. And there were other students who heard this, who think now that this is okay. And then the teacher's response was, well, we'll move your daughter to another table.
No, because my daughter's not the problem.
Exactly. You will not move her.
Yes.
You
Oh
will
my
move this
goodness.
child and we will have a conversation.
Yes.
You know, so I had to go to the school. So in that, you know,
That
it's
is,
like my daughter spoke up, but I'm saying it's not just at work, at our level.
Yeah.
My daughter is in 5th grade, you know, and for the teacher's response, again,
there you go.
systems.
But Nakia, just imagine if your daughter had not come home and told you anything
That's right.
and accepted that and allowed that to happen where she was removed.
Yeah, exactly.
And what does that set for her in her young,
That's right.
you know, 11-year-old mind of, okay, well, if I don't want to get so-and-so in trouble, or I don't want to be perceived as the problem.
Exactly.
I don't want, you know what I mean? Again, and it starts there when we start to accept these little things. But yes, it comes with the empowerment that we give our children.
Yes.
And not only do we need to give that to our children, we need to model that for our children. So they need to see us, you know, stepping up in that way and speaking up for ourselves too, which I know is something way easier said than done, because I will fight all day long for my kids, but
when it comes
sometimes I find it hard to be like, you know, I will make those excuses, you know, but that has to stop.
Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
I mean, I think that, so give yourself grace, because you're probably making those excuses because you have kids. And we can't just always be jumping off the porch.
And you don't have to jump off the porch with it though. It doesn't even have to be on level 10. You know what I mean?
Even though they'll make it like you.
But that's
right.
That's my point.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Had something been done against one of them, make no mistake about it, you hear about it.
Yes.
Exactly.
Make no mistake about it, there would be a
teacher never
consequence for
called
it.
me.
And I'm not even talking about being in school. I'm talking about even in your adult working life. Make no mistake about it, you will hear it. You will receive a consequence for it. It will be, probably will show up on your performance review. It will show up in some way to affect you. So it doesn't have to be on the level of, okay, well, now I got to do that. You know, it don't even have to be all that. But you have to start calling things out. We have, and the only way that we're going to get comfortable with that is to start just doing it.
Yeah. I mean, because the fact that the teacher didn't think that your daughter was going to come home and tell you. She didn't even go, she didn't even think deep enough.
To call.
It wasn't
It
that
was just,
important.
okay.
Yeah, it
and
wasn't
then
important.
to make a justification, well, he said it was a mistake.
And you're okay with that.
So that's it. It was a mistake.
And then your solution is to move the child who harm was caused to.
Yeah.
Exactly.
To a different space.
To
And
make
I
her
was like,
further
oh, no.
feel like she's the problem.
And I'm like, oh no.
And she didn't see that. And your teacher.
And
That's
your
where it
teacher.
starts.
But again, you know, my daughter, minority in the class, minority in the school. And that's supposed to be okay. And so in talking with the principal, just to say, you know, so then there had to be this whole conversation because like I said, other kids heard it. And if other kids are hearing it and think that's okay, what happens tomorrow?
That's
Exactly.
right.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's horrible.
Even to the point that maybe she gets pushed to tears one day and she's crying about it.
Yeah.
But if nothing's been done all this time,
Exactly.
then what does that even mean?
That's
Exactly.
right. Wow.
Okay. So we are definitely in a climate, and I feel like I don't even necessarily think it's fair to say climate with this next talking point, but critical race theory, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and then woke, which to me, I feel I can't wait to hear you all unpack woke.
Yeah, ooh, baby.
I feel like a lot of us are sleepwalking. But anyway, how do we progress now that critical race theory is a thing? DEI is no longer, quote unquote, and woke is a joke.
Well, first of all, these words have been taken, these concepts, these philosophies, these theories have been taken and weaponized against us. First of all, let's just be real about it. When you hear DEI, when you hear woke, when you hear CRT, when you hear, you know, all things alike, you know it's code word for black. They just ain't saying it. They're saying it without saying it. So you're taking these things and you're weaponizing it in a way to make it seem as if we're trying to get ahead in some way undeservingly.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to insert ourselves in a space where you don't think we belong and we fit in. But CRT is nothing new. CRT came from Dr. Kimberly Crenshaw, who was the woman who coined the phrase intersectionality. Intersectionality was something that started in the late 80s with her. CRT was something that came out in the early 90s. DEI is a concept that, conceptualized in the 90s. Woke, although that is newer, but all that means is awareness and a consciousness, which we've always talked about and discussed. Now it just has a specific buzzword attached to it. But none of these are new ideas and theories. So I don't understand why it's being perceived as we're now just trying to force ourselves to, be a part of, or to be considered, or to please give us a chance, when that's not what any of this means.
I'm glad you specifically touched on woke. I said woke as a joke because unfortunately some of our Black leaders that are more in like the spotlight um don't always live perfect lives. And the moment a conscious Black leader does something that goes against what he or she may um classify as progression for Black people, or maybe not even has nothing to do with progression for Black people. Whenever they just do something that is now a freaking hot topic, the conscious, or I feel as though Black people, like, we minimize ourselves more and more by heckling that word. And I mean, it really pisses me off, per se, because like, who really lives a perfect life? Number one.
Yeah.
Now, if you are talking about, I am, like, Black family, but then all you see this person intermingling with is white women or white men, that's a different conversation. They're clowns. I said it. That's my belief. Come for me. I'm cool. But I feel like all the other stuff, we shouldn't just be out here. I'll give you a prime example. This is when I saw on Facebook specifically when Black men who were more on a conscious level or portrayed to be more of a conscious level were not taken serious anymore. When they started saying greeting women in the morning with like this conscious my Black queen or whatever, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like
Grand
more
Rising.
game. What you say?
Grand Rising.
Yeah, that's what I was trying. 'Cause I don't even say Grand Rising. I don't say it not because
Peace Queen.
it's not. So I'm gonna get straight to that because I actually have a shirt that I designed, and it's a peace sign with a crown. That design came about from my brother J.O., who had a lyric in a song that says, "Peace Queen, I'm really digging your style." And when I heard that, I was like, there's empowerment behind that bar.
Because you used to say that. I remember.
No, I said, yeah, I still
remember.
I still say it. I still will text with the Black peace sign and the crown, because it is literally like, I stand behind that. I stand for that. And it really pisses me off. And my peers that are females, women more specifically, who go on Facebook, they don't do it so much now because it's not really a thing, but would just like throw eggs at Black men instead of calling out them suckers. They classify all of us, and they will go straight to the, if you say peace, I said, whoa. I'm never going to stop saying that to y'all because you need to be reminded every opportunity you get.
Yes.
Yeah.
My Black brothers need to be reminded every opportunity they get to know that we are royalty. And I'll be damned if society now doesn't appreciate that kind of language because there's suckers out here that we don't call out.
Yeah.
Like just call out the buffooneries so that we can get back to endearment and progression.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
I love that.
I do too.
Yeah. I mean, but you're right. Consider the source, because there are a few clowns out here that will try to hijack these words.
Yeah.
And no, that's not how you operate. That's
Right.
not what you live in. It's not authentic to you. You're using it in a way that is trying to get you some sort of favor or access to something that you don't deserve, baby.
Yeah, because you start the sentence with Pete's Queen and you end it with you gotta pick and choose. You can't be both of those people.
And I've been thinking about that with like, now Kendrick doesn't, I never heard Kendrick say like Queen or anything of that nature, or Peace Queen, I should say. But I'm really conflicted by even like Kendrick a little bit, because he still says in the B word and a lot of his content. However, he's the person for us right now when it comes to mainstream media.
Well, let's be real about it. We all do.
We all do what?
I mean, maybe not every single one of us, but for the most part, the collective all does use those words.
No, right. But so there has to be a time when it has to stop. Because if it doesn't stop, like we always champion accountability and self-perseverance and all these things. And if we really want that, then we have to. I used to be like, Dad, I'm not stopped. Like, no, that's not. I used to be that combative person. And now that I'm getting older, I'm really understanding why he was, him and his generation was on that type time. Now, I think there was definitely a disconnect. It could have been handled differently, especially when it came to mainstream, when Pac was, I forget the lady's name who did the whole court campaign.
Dolores Tucker.
Stomping on his CDs and all that. I get it, but I feel like that I can't give our old heads the grace that I would give our ancestors, because you were once like that age. You feel what I'm saying?
And it's a different level of consciousness. So, like you said, you used to say those words and you're trying to, like you move away from those words. Even with the Queen, even when people are addressing it and using it, they pick it up sort of as like this cliche thing and not really understanding it. The hope is that at a certain point they would understand why people are saying it and why people are using it, and not just to be in your DMs with that early morning, good morning, Queen. But using the B word or the N word, like my kids, for some reason now, like, Mommy, can I say it? Can I say it?
Oh,
like,
yeah. It's like,
why do you want to say it?
Oh, yeah.
Wait, which word? If you don't mind me asking.
The N word.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the N word. And I'm like, why would you want to say it? Do you understand how this word was used? And they're like, but everybody says it in rap songs and they say it. And I'm like, so what's cool about it? What are you going to feel if you say it? And so trying to even bring consciousness to young people. And I get it with the Kendrick Lamar, because younger generations are listening. So it's kind of like sending this conflicting message. But at the same time, if it's something he's always done, it just, like, you have to sort of move into your consciousness. It's not something that's just going to happen overnight. So I kind of give grace like where it's due. So it's like, yeah, I'm sending this message, and hopefully the conscience part of you is what people will resonate with. And hopefully the other part will start to disseminate, or dissipate rather. But I get it, because people just pick up these cliche things. And like for my kids, I mean, I think that's what the N word is for them. And it's like, let's read this book and let's understand why this is. It's one song that's like the whole song is like the N word. And I'm like,
and it's because they're not looking at it like, it's not ER, it's the A. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, my son is 9. just today he said it. And I said, but you think that's funny? Like, stop saying that. And he was like, well, I can say it because I'm Black. And that's crazy.
That's what people have been putting out. Again, like you said, the A and not the ER. And it's like, but why do we want to call each other derogatory terms? Like, I've never been that person where I walk around and call women B's either. You know, when somebody be like, hey, B, whatever, you know, it's not a term of endearment to me. I'm ready to fight you if that's, no, that's not how we address each other. You know, my name is Nikita and I've always been, you know, that way. But
the younger girls are definitely doing that. That's like,
it
was
like
a thing when I was young, but that's back.
Yeah.
It's back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never embraced that ever. Like, I'm thinking you want to fight me if that's.
But it's like Brittany said, though, I have to, because I'm sitting here and, you know, you got to be real with yourself, you know? But like, if I'm with my people, like I'm talking like immediate family or friends, like real close friends, I know my sister in a minute, you know, and forgive me if, you know, he can bleep me out, but that's what it is. But my sister hit me.
Yeah.
Because
I do it.
I do it. Yeah, so like, and I'm never like, girl, why would you say that? So, you know, I don't know. I think sometimes it just does. It's just what it is and who it comes from. You know, because now my white coworkers are, you know, things like it's going to be taken completely different for my kids. I guess it's just, I don't know if they fully understand what, you know, like they don't fully understand.
But did we? Did we? When we started saying it, did we?
No, you really don't. And you just said it's going to be taken completely different. You know, like if a white person says it. Again, a white child just called my child, my 10-year-old child that, right? So if a Black child in school called my 10-year-old child that, that's not acceptable because that Black child has then said to those little white kids that are learning, this is okay.
But I guarantee you, your daughter probably wouldn't have come home and told you that because she wouldn't have received it the same way she did.
But that's the problem.
Right.
Yep.
That's the problem.
Yep. And that,
and it's a hard pill to swallow.
It is.
But we got to be honest. There is a double standard to it. Let's just be real about it.
Yeah.
And not only that, I like the argument of, well, you guys say it to each other.
You not us.
Why why would you want to say it? Answer that.
So then go back to why do we want to say it?
It did no. But I mean, if we're talking about a white person coming at you wanting to use that word, thinking that either they're cool and they're accepted as your friend, or you know they don't mean it that way, they want to use it in the way you use it, but. No, there is a difference. I'm sorry. I don't make the rules, but I understand it.
No,
there is a difference. It is. Let's just be real.
That's been something that has been said that there is.
Yeah, we're conditioned to believe that.
Right.
I mean, that's just as I'm getting older, I am understanding that more and more. And I mean, to her point, if the white kid, whether it's E or A, says it, and we want to off with their, you know, like.
I'm sorry.
I mean, no, I know you're not going to agree, and that's that.
But when you think about kids and kids learning, like I'm sorry, AC, because I'm just thinking of like little kids, right? So they're still at this learning age, even at 10, you know. And when they hear that, even if it's coming from an adult Black person to an adult Black person, or some other, you know, Black kid talking to my child saying it and they hear it. For a 10-year-old, it is acceptable. This is like, they just pick it up and they think it's cool. Because maybe they haven't had this conversation at home yet. They're 10, now, you know, whatever, in elementary school. But if this is the common language at home that young children are hearing and they repeat it, you know, they're sponges. So it could be even 5 years old and they're around their peers. So what are we teaching them? What are we teaching other white kids? Like, I live in a predominantly white area, but I don't want my children who, whatever reason, well, I'm not gonna say whatever reason, it's the rap songs that they listen to, which they shouldn't be listening to, but they don't want to listen to me and they listen to rap. But they hear it and it's like fun, acceptable. It's just something about this word for them that's intriguing. But if they do that to each other, their peers, and I don't live in an area where their peers, like I said, don't look like them.
Yeah.
but they're teaching them that this is acceptable. This is who I am.
So
Can I real quick?
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
NWA, in my opinion, like that era, made the word like empowering. In my opinion, I was still a young boy, so whatever. In my opinion, they made that word an empowerment word because of the way they were being treated in LA by white cops in the white system, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. To your point, Britt, I'm agreeing that the rule is the rule and there's an exception to the rule. But we have to evolve from all rules. So if I don't want, I'm like a hypocrite, you feel me, if someone calls my daughter any word that's not of who she really is.
Anything derogatory.
You feel what I'm saying? So if I'm not going to accept that from anybody else, I can't accept it from my own people anymore. That to me is like elevation.
But okay, so a couple of things with that. Going back to the N word, when I first heard the word, I did not hear it from my peers. I heard it from the adults in my family, the adults that I was around in my life. Okay. So I think it is something that we commonly hear and grow up hearing. Now, here's the reality of it, Nikita. Now, you can check your kids with it because my kids, even my 21-year-old, my 17-year-old, I know they say certain words, but I don't hear them say it, but I know they say certain words. I can hear them talk amongst themselves and be like, oh, your kids are going to say whatever when you're not around. So check them to let them know that, no, we don't do this here. I better not hear you say this. But in all reality, when they're with their friends, they gonna say some stuff, just like we did. And that's not something that we're able to control because we're not there.
You can't, because you're not there every moment. But if you continue to have the conversations and you talk about the why this isn't acceptable, you hope that it resonates.
It's just like with tearing down white supremacy. If we're saying continue to have the conversation so that we don't continue to be feeling like goats in a freaking haystack, we have to do the same thing within our own village.
So do you genuinely feel some type of way when you hear it, or you just know that it's not right?
No, I mean, I don't genuinely feel a ways.
Because like if one of your homies came in right now, what up, my nigga? Like, are you going to feel?
You going to check him?
Yeah, right. Are you going to check him since you're trying to change?
So I don't know if I'm going to check them immediately because that's been my MO since
100%.
So again, I'm not disagreeing that that's the culture.
I was just wondering, like, but since you're trying to change.
I have when people have tried to call me the B word, like friends, and I'm like, whoa.
And I have there have been times when I have in conversation redirected to my own homies. You feel what I'm saying?
That's interesting. I mean, I'm just, again, it's really weird because like this conversation is causing me to kind of think and reflect, because I correct my children from the door. I'm an adult, do what I say, not as I do, period. If you grow up and you decide to use the words that you choose, that you want to use now, I can't say nothing, but I can teach you that you're not going to do it here.
Because Pete, not to cut you off again.
You good. That's all right.
I have been like with elders who have never like referred to me as the N-word ever. But the moment now there's tension, now I'm the N-word.
Oh yeah.
Against my own.
Yeah.
So like
that's right.
That's unacceptable. Because I can't punch you in the face because you're my elder, and everybody's gonna be looking at me like, I mean, you deserve that word because now there's a disagreement.
Do it.
Listen, don't.
I'm a troublemaker.
On some G, I get more hurt by that from someone who looks like me and is like referring to me as
using it in that context.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
but there's context to the word.
It is.
So I totally get more hurt by that than any white person ever calling me.
Whoa.
No. Listen, I'm not saying you have to agree, Britt. I'm not saying that. This is my experience.
No, I understand that, but you put the weight.
No, I'm not putting
Okay.
I'm putting a weight because I have a standard about our people. And if I have respect for an elder, and I would never call him or her out of their name unless you take me to there. That blows, that hits. If I sat here and called you the B word, would that hurt more? If I said it with the level of relationship that we all have, and me being the black man that I am, would that hurt more, or would it hurt more by a white person calling you the B word?
Context. So there's context.
Context.
But there's two things to consider. You're always going to be more hurt when it's someone who's closer to you in relationship, always, because you know them and you have a certain expectation. So there's always going to be that hurt there that cuts a little bit deep as opposed to a stranger. Now, you threw a white person in there.
Absolutely.
We know if a derogatory term comes from a white person, that there is probably some intentional harm behind that word, which is a little bit different.
But there's no...
Which is a little bit different. Now, it's two different hurts, and I don't think you can compare the two.
But what about if you're in an interracial relationship and you're married to you're married to the person that then says it, right? So you have this mutual respect.
Oh, so you're saying both is at play.
Both
the
can
close
be at
relationship
play.
And
exactly.
the other. Oh, yeah. I mean, it cuts deep because you're supposed to be my partner.
Yeah.
And then it also cuts deep because you white.
You don't get to say it.
Right.
Wait, the person is... Wait, who's biracial?
No.
The person saying it or the person...
No, I said
biracial.
I said interracial.
Yeah, an interracial relationship. Yeah. I mean, and that's just it. So like,
that's super unacceptable. Like, that's
absolutely.
Yeah.
But I'm sure
But like, I think about the old heads, like in my family, we talking like the uncles, like the great uncles.
Yes.
And they talk to one another like, I mean, again, beat me out if that's what we need to do. But I'm just saying, like, you know, like, I used to have a bunch of uncles at my house watching boxing, which is why I love it so much, because, you know, that's what they did. So we get together, we're having a good time. I'm young, but like I'm all up in it, and he gonna knock you out. I'm not offended, but I'm not offended. Or if my dad and my uncle are going back and forth, crazy, this or that, and I'm like, oh, dad, he called you. You see what I'm saying? So like, I'm not offended by that. I'm just being real. Like,
but
I
is
didn't
it
feel
about
nothing.
being offended, or is it about doing better? You know, I can't ever recall my father saying the N-word. Even watching boxing, I watched with him too. But like ever. And also recall conversations of him talking to me about the harm from this word, you know, from white people to black people and how it was used. And I recall those conversations, which is why I have those same conversations. I don't use the word. I have the same conversations with my kids. And I just think it's, if we start to have the conversations, it's not, we got to put it in context of where the word came from and how the word was used. And I know that the word is supposed to have transitioned as this term of endearment, but we're trying to take something that was used so derogatory and harmful and then turn it into this term of endearment. And then when it's switched, because it is switched and somebody else used it, then it's like, oh, no. Even if they use the A word, right? So they're like, well, the A word is the term of endearment.
What's the
I
A
didn't
word?
say ER.
I'm lost. What's the A word?
Ending in A, N-I-G-G-A, instead of ER.
Okay.
Sorry.
I definitely was like Big Sean. The song, not...
Yeah.
I had to clarify that. Everybody coming for me.
Yeah, but I'm saying ending in A is like the term of endearment, right? And it's like, but then if a white person says, well, it's ending in A, how do we differentiate between that?
I'm sorry, it's different,
It's
Nikita.
different.
That's just like, listen.
But we're saying it's different, but we can't tell them it's different.
Yes, we can.
No, you can't. No, you can't. Because they're going to say the same thing. Like, it's
a double standard.
It is a double standard.
It is that.
We can admit that it's a double standard.
We can admit it's a double standard, but how do we try to stop other double standards and then we want to embrace this one? We can't. We can't. We have to stop and just say, like, it's not, if the A is the term of endearment and the ER is the derogatory term, but they're no longer using the derogatory term.
You see what I'm saying? It's just how it's context. It's like, yeah, if they're mean, just like the B word. No, I don't get down with that either. But if somebody says to me, who I know I'm cool with, what's up, B? I'm gonna be real with you. Even then, I'm not like, no, I don't do that. Don't call me that. I just, because I know how it's meant. I know, you know, if someone says you stupid B, now we talking different, and my response is gonna be different.
That's two different ways. But what if the white person said, what's up, N-word, ended with the A? You know what I'm saying?
I'm sorry,
They're not
but
saying
no,
it like in a
different.
derogatory way.
It's
You're saying it's different.
They
I can
just
say
trying
it
to get
one
in
way.
where
The
they
white
fit in,
person
and
can
it's
say it
not.
the same exact way. It can't be different. An
No.
apple is an apple is an apple.
No, it's
no,
not.
no.
No, it's not.
Because what
different
she's
to
saying
me,
is
too.
somebody can say,
I
you
don't
B,
know.
you stupid B, you know what I'm saying? Or what's up, B? That's different. That's using something in a different context.
Just like the N-word is used in a different context. I'm sorry, Nikita.
It's not used in a different context.
Yes, it is.
If two different people say it the same exact
Consider
way.
the source. Consider the source.
You
Who is it coming from?
Yeah.
Who's it coming from?
But
I'm sorry.
You can say who it's
and
coming.
here's the thing with white people. They want to question so much. Why can't I say it? Why are you interested in even wanting to say it?
Why are we interested in wanting to say it?
Okay, because that's a word that we've learned to embrace, and we've embraced that. Let's just be
But
real
it's a
about
word you've learned to embrace. A word that you've learned to embrace. So
but it is not for you to say. That is just like...
It's not for any of us to say, is my point.
Okay,
I'm not saying the white person should say it, but I'm saying the black person shouldn't say it either.
All right, we're going to calm down, Nikita.
I still love you, bro.
I love you too, baby. All right, so I do want to go back to something else. And we were talking about allowing for grace for people. And then when AC brought up the whole Kendrick Lamar thing. So I think we do need to consider where people are in their lives. So you brought up Pac, right? So that was the 20-something, early 20-something-year-old Pac. If he were still here today, I guarantee you that would not be who he is right now.
That was my point about saying, like, I don't, like, what was her name again?
Dolores Tucker.
Miss Tucker.
Mm-hmm.
Every generation forgets they used to be that person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
Absolutely. And I mean, you know, and I think allowing for grace, especially when we were talking about our young people, our teenagers and young adults out here, they're going to grow, but allow them that opportunity to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the 20-year-old Malcolm X, you know,
was not the
same when he was Detroit Red, was not the same, you know, Malcolm X in his later years, you know? So you got to allow for people to go through and grow through what they experience in life to get to where they're ultimately going to be. And hopefully not just in there, but continue to pursue to be better. So, I mean, I know, especially with this generation coming up, it's like, we looking at them like, y'all need help. Y'all are woo. But again, the same grace that was given to us, I think we should allow that too. And hopefully, fingers crossed, eyes crossed, toes crossed, that these kids ain't coming up and continuing to think that, you know, this is who they are and where they should remain. Hopefully that there will be some growth that happens. But who's to say?
Well, I mean, I think we can all agree that there's going to be growth. There's definitely going to be, you know.
I mean, let's hope, because some don't.
No,
some don't grow. Some stay in that stupidity. Let's just be real.
Forever, every generation, there's idiots that didn't grow. But I'm saying collectively, there's going to be growth. That's not me hoping. That's not me praying. That's me being real, because I know I've witnessed it time and time again. I pray that, you know, when they do grow, they don't forget where they came from. It's that part for sure.
And I think,
go ahead.
sorry, I just wanted to say part of their growth is also incumbent upon our teachings.
Okay, so thank you for saying that. I'm glad you went first, because I was then going to ask, who bears the responsibility of that? Should it be on us?
It's a collective. Everything is a collective, in my opinion, because it's our responsibility to embrace them and pull them with us and show them the right way. It's their responsibility, whenever the right and left brain connects,
right,
to accept that growth, accept that criticism. I mean, I think I said that wrong. Accept the criticism, accept the journey, and then embrace the growth.
It's like a race, passing the baton.
Yeah, you have to. You have to. And I mean, I feel like, if anything, the generation right now, like, they were probably on fire about maybe 5 years before our generation was on fire, which is probably 5 years before the other generation. I promise you, it's all the same. It just looks different, because as we get older, our views change. but we can't forget where we come from. And I believe to tie it all back in systematically or systemically, systemically, I believe we all, like, each generation tends to finger point because systemically that is what's in front of us. We've embodied that instead of embracing our own systems and whatnot. So
I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I'm a little scared about this generation coming up.
I was about to say that too,
first
Brittany.
of all, they don't know how to write in cursive no more.
I mean, yeah,
they don't know how to speak with punctuation.
That, I get it. You can be scared.
They can't even tell time on an analog clock.
Yeah.
I'm just like, y'all different.
But whose fault is that? That's not their fault.
No, it is the system.
It was the system's fault, and people to buy in to the system and no longer care about teaching that. Teaching starts at the crib, not in the classroom.
Yeah.
Touche, my brother.
So I'm gonna end right there. You feel me?
All right.
Rest up, Pac. Rest up, Nipsey. Rest up, X, King.
Yeah, everybody.
Everybody. AC signing off. All right, so I was just joking. AC didn't sign off. I'm still here. I just had to say that. I had to digress. But I have a question for y'all. Who knew Kanye West was going to come out in a KKK outfit? Crickets.
I
expected it.
Ashamed that he represents Chicago.
Guy.
I'm just saying.
Are you from Chi-Town?
Originally, yes.
Oh wow. So is
that's why she's so cold.
So is K-Dot. You didn't know.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, that was another who knew.
Right.
I had two who knews, but so I'm guessing y'all wasn't feeling that.
I'm just saying when it comes to Kanye, it's
nothing surprising
exactly.
anymore. Is it really at this point?
Exactly. It's just like you get what you get.
I wonder if he thought it, like, because it was black, that he thought it was going to be
that's not
received.
I doubt it.
Oh.
He said certain things where he tried to like reverse. He tried to reverse it. So it's always a method behind his.
It is
his stuff.
His madness, exactly.
His madness.
No, it's a more madness behind his madness. It's just being
But yeah.
The man's just, and he's so dope, so intelligent, and he just ruins it when he does that dumb stuff. I'm like,
would an intelligent person really say that black people chose slavery,
but like AC said, he just does stuff for like this, like the shock value thing. I think he just wants to just make a He wants it to be conversation, which is why he ain't getting no more hair.
Exactly.
Next.
All right.
All right, I'm gonna go with Ab.
Oh, you gonna go? OMG, not me. Who knew? Okay, this is like straight. This is gonna be so. I always go to the industry somehow, some way, for some reason. But I don't know. I never discussed this with y'all, but I do not fool with Doja Cat. I don't know if...
I'm with you.
Okay.
I'm with you when I'm with you.
But who knew every time she dropped the song, it's going to be a banger?
Yes.
Yeah.
The girl gets on my... I mean, I hate when I'm bopping and I look at the card and I see her name. I'm like, this is... I mean, I really purposely try not to listen to her because we know she is really a real life demon.
She's problematic.
Yeah, she got some stuff with her, but this girl done dropped another hit.
Sounds like yay.
Yeah.
I think we're on a roll, so y'all have to keep up with
I think we are. He's on to something because it's the same thing. She drops this stuff and she acts the way she acts just because she know people's going to talk about her. But she's a devil. She said, didn't she say it? Okay, so yeah, who knew?
Who knew?
Nikita, your turn.
Let me tell y'all, I've been asleep all week, so I'm a totally go from the industry. Who knew that you could be doing squats and pull a muscle in your neck and back? Because I'm sitting over here in pain. Yeah, who knew?
Oh, Kita.
Well, remember the hip bones connected to the, remember that?
Yeah,
so yeah,
one thing I guess connected to the bone.
Well, I hope you feel better, girl.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're on your way. You're shining.
I'm on my way.
Yeah.
I'm getting better. I ain't falling asleep here, sitting in the chair.
Ooh, that's a story for another day, y'all.
Word, facts.
We're gonna have to have an episode where we just like really just like tell some stuff.
I'm awake.
Yeah, she woke today.
All right, Brett, your turn.
Me? Okay. So y'all know.
I can't wait to hear
got one
this.
thing on my mind.
Look
I
at the
can't wait to hear
smile.
this.
Look at the smile.
I thought you were levitate. I thought you were
Am I levitating? I don't know. Who knew I would be smiling again?
I knew.
And you knew?
I knew.
You knew? And I'm just gonna leave it right there. Right
To be
there.
continued.
To be continued.
To be continued.
Well, I want to say great job, ladies. I like that. I saw y'all doing y'all thing. It was like rumble. Y'all going rumble.
But it's all
But
love.
that's
Of
the point. Like,
course.
I feel as though, and I'm okay now. Some other people may feel different, but I can't wait till we get to a space where we may have people call in that are not so they're not always aligned with how we feel, but I believe that is okay because everybody's an individual.
That's
Absolutely.
right.
But you're not going to
That's
come
right.
with the BS because I'm going to hang up the phone.
There you
I
go.
have all capabilities of doing so.
There you go.
But yeah, I want to say I'm hoping that all are welcome, and we can continue to progress.
And
That's
we will.
that's what we want to do.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
And I just love that we can have the difference of opinion.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Have
like,
the,
it's a safe space,
yeah,
Yes.
and debate about it, talk it out. And even if we walk away still, you holding on to your point of view, me holding on to mine, we love each other. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's what it is. We don't have to agree. And that is exactly what it should be because Black people are not a monolith.
Yes,
And,
that's right.
we have our own experiences and own thoughts. And, so yeah, we ain't got to be on the same page, but let's talk about it.
Yes.
No question.
And not just love each other, but respect each other.
Yes.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So until next time,
Enjoy
enjoy this time.
I thought so. We
Side, we ain't going nowhere.
As we're continuing to grow with the Black Boardroom, AC and I had a conversation. So we would like to call all of our supporters board members. So to be a board member, we need you guys to like, follow, subscribe,
share,
all the good stuff.
Comment. More importantly, comment so we can see who is all in the boardroom with us.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So please, we are the Black Boardroom on all social media platforms. You can email us at the Black Boardroom Collective at gmail.com. I don't know why I always forget that.
It's okay.
Anyway, with your shoulda, coulda, wouldas, or DM AC, our producer. That was the juicy one. Anyway, until next time,